friends, welcome back to the Research to Empower Masterclass series. I'm Grace Liu, joined by my sister Jessica. We're talking about research in a way that's easy to digest and fun. Today, we're talking more about collecting data.
Finally, it's already been like 3 episodes about data. Now I can finally know how to deal with my own data. Seems easy enough. I just need to... Wait, I just realized I have no idea how to get started.
I know, right? It seemed that way for me too. It seems straightforward enough in theory, but actually doing it is a whole nother thing. But it's okay, let me tell you the first step, which is to examine your hypotheses and research questions again to find the key variables you want to test.
Key variables?
Let's say your research question is about something that causes something and that has an effect on something else. You probably totally did not understand what I just said. So, for example, how does playing sports affect confidence and mental health? The key variables would be something to measure playing sports, which is quantitative, something to measure confidence, which is quantitative, or if you want to go to the qualitative route, then do a survey with testimonials on how confident sports players feel. And then maybe something else to measure mental health. This could be verbal answers, which are qualitative, or depression and anxiety rates, which are quantitative. So I just gave like a whole lot of options for what you can do and how you can continue with identifying the key variables and what you can do with it. But basically, the key variables are the subjects and nouns of that sentence.
How can I find the data then?
There are many global data sets, which is one way. For example, the United Nations, the OECD, the World Bank. You can see the Research to Empower blog post, which is linked below, and that has a huge list of bunch of global data sets where you can literally search, and they have very comprehensive, like up-to-date data. So that's a way that you can find data, which is just using pre-existing data and using it from a variety of different sources so that you have your own research. That's the first way. The second way is to collect data through your own experiments. For example, in a lab, it's usually quantitative data, but you also have to be very careful and precise because you're the one handling the data and you're coming up with original data. So the third way would be through your own surveys or focus groups, and these are usually the qualitative way of doing it. And this can be a little bit difficult without funding money to make sure that people actually fill out your survey. But if you know people who are willing to participate in your survey or focus group, that's awesome. And this all goes back to the previous episodes where we talked about research methodology. And this is the first step of methodology. The second step would be data analysis. Before you ask, that will be in the next episode where we'll talk all about it.
Is that really it?
Well, you would also need to make sure, as far as possible, whether your data collection was done as per your standards, which would probably be from pre-existing literature or what is typically done. And you also have to make sure that the data doesn't have much bias. This might include editing the data and the large data sets because they might contain some errors.
Oh no!
What are you, a sound effects machine? That was so dramatic.
Yeah.
Anyway, there could be some blank spaces or totally wacky answers that you don't want to include because of obvious reasons. They could harm the accuracy of the results. And that is why you should check the data for outliers, which are numbers that seem totally off. They're completely different or a lot larger, a lot smaller than what is typically found in your data set. And then you should basically edit it to clear out some of the data points that can really throw your experiment off. But you also want to do this to a certain extent that you make sure you're not editing out good data that you can use. that's about it. My closing question for this episode is, where will you find your data? And what will be your strategy to collect data? Thank you so much for listening. If you want to check out details about stuff we reference, it's available in the show notes. Head over to research2empower.org to submit your response to the question for each episode and complete the masterclass. Tune in to the next episode to learn the next step of data science, data analysis.